All right, welcome back into another episode of the Court Sessions Film Room. Today we are continuing with our theme of advantage basketball with a focus today on individual advantage and what one individual advantage can do for the rest of the team. Today we're going to focus on a clip here from Bradley Beal that's going to get an easier look and an advantage situation for a teammate. All right, so what we see here on the catch, and if you watch the clip that we just let run for you, it looks pretty basic, like a basic NBA clip for sure. But what you see to start this whole advantage situation is on the catch, Bradley Beal is aggressively catching the ball with intention to score. And so right when he catches, he's shot ready, eyes to the rim, willing to shoot. That willingness and aggression causes an immediate reaction from his defender, Beverly, who gets inside of his bubble. From there, Beal can start to manipulate because he's up, a ball swing comes, Beverly gets active, here comes a jab, and what you see here in the stop is a very small crack of space. This is all it takes, and good players know this crack of space is open. This is what leads to advantage. So here Beal starts to take advantage of the advantage, drives, and then before he even gets deep, he sees a chest read from the ball side help defender. He doesn't wait to get to him. Just the chest being there is the commitment itself. Ball's moved.
Hey, Ed, real quick, too. We always want to start with spacing. And if you notice here, the spacing on the floor allows Beal to be able to use this advantage and to be able to execute off of it. So what's really important is you look at the corner. A lot of young players don't like to run all the way to the corner. But if you look at the defender that's guarding him, because we're stretching all the way to the corner here, this defender also is stretched all the way to the corner, which is stretching the defense as much as possible. The second thing is on this drive, as soon as he sees this chest, a lot of young players have a tendency to overdrive here. They think, I need to get all the way to the paint. I need to really engage the second defender to the point where he's on top of me. That's how I know all of a sudden I'm not going to be able to score and I'm going to get rid of it. What's important here is after he creates this advantage, the little sliver that he talked about, he just takes one dribble, and as soon as he recognizes that Kawhi started in this gap, but as soon as he sees Kawhi is engaged to the ball, he's already set to move it without overdriving into this help, and which would often cause a deflection and then no advantage whatsoever anyway.
Yeah, Matt, that's just such a good point about the spacing. It makes the decisions very easy for everyone. It makes it pretty clear. And all you younger players are going to listen to this. Matt talked about the guy in the corner. I think young players a lot of times think, well, I'm just standing here. I'm not doing anything to help, which causes them to run when someone drives or cut when they're not supposed to. And, they're holding the gravity, and it's just making the next decision easy. And if the ball gets moved like it's going to here, then you're now one pass away offensively, which makes it even more important to be where you're supposed to be. So you see here on the catch, Westbrook, who's really a non-shooter, right, still does what Beal did. Aggressively, actively catches it, eyes to the rim, shows a shot fake. Now, Kawhi Leonard, and this is the beauty of what spacing does. Spacing makes you have defenders make long decisions. Everyone knows Westbrook's not a shooter. Kawhi, a very smart, good defender, knows he's not a shooter. It's in the scouting report, let him shoot, don't let him drive. But because Kawhi has to close down so much space, he's not thinking, he's moving. And the second he sees a shot fake, what do you do with shot fakes? As you run, you go for them. Habits. There it is.
Yeah, I think it's funny to point out is that, like you said, you mentioned the scout report. Kawhi knows the scout. If you watch right here, he knows he's guarding Westbrook, who's a non-shooter. So that's why he's sitting in the gap like this. If he was guarding a shooter, he wouldn't be sitting in the gap like this. Right. So you know that he knows the scout to start this possession. So what makes it even funnier, and which shows you why human nature will always be to bite on a shot fake. Just because you're a shooter doesn't mean you still shouldn't. Just because you're a driver and not a shooter doesn't mean that you still shouldn't use a shot fake. Because even though Kawhi knows the scouting report, make people prove that they're going to follow the scouting report in the blink of an eye. So he knows he's in the gap because Westbrook's a non-shooter, but then he still bites on the shot fake here after he just decided a second before that Westbrook wasn't a non-shooter.
Yeah. It's so funny, Matt, because the longer and the quicker the action, the less likely for discipline, right? Like the more immediate you have to do it. Like if you ask Kawhi, hey, you go for a Westbrook shot fake, he'd be like, no, I'm fine with him shooting it. Right. But because he has to do it so fast, he's got to go.
Right. And the other thing to point out here is watch Beal after he makes the pass. Again, the tendency of a lot of young players is after they make the pass, just become a spectator and they just sit there and then they'll watch the action, as opposed to now giving the offense the oxygen that it needs in terms of spacing. So watch how he re-spaces here, which now makes Beverly in a decision where it's, what do I do? Do I go help on this drive, or now do I stay home with the shooter? And he's going to stay home with the shooter, which gives Westbrook the opportunity to drive. So just wanted to make that point as well as we move from the shot fake to the drive. Yeah,
it's such a good point. Also, look at my man in the corner. He didn't. That was like that possession he took off, and he controlled the whole thing because Batum couldn't leave him.
Right. And this is such a Russell Westbrook finish here. I mean, he had 24 assists last night, and he could have had an opportunity to have another one right here, because you look at the weak side spacing. I mean, this is what all this does. And on the weak side, this is another guy that hasn't moved this entire possession, just maintains gravity, maintains the spacing. And Westbrook has an opportunity here, if he doesn't want to go finish this, to kick it out weak side for a wide open three as well. So you got a lot of good options. Beal's open again here, just because of the spacing and the simplicity of one simple jab move, getting rid of the ball on time, another shot fake. Now you're going to have the best. This is no play in the world can draw up better looks than we could potentially get on this possession.
No. And then, notice he goes off a 2, right? Him going off a 2 allows him to really negate the size difference with Ibaka coming over. And also it takes the 50-50 of the referee's hands. Right? Like, is it a foul? Is it not? And it doesn't really matter, because Westbrook doesn't need the bailout, because he's able to control the contact, therefore control when he finishes the play. Here it is, right? Like, he absorbs it here because he goes off of a good foundation of 2 feet. Then he's able to, again, decide when he wants to finish, not finish because he has to, because he's off balance, or, falling out of the angle because he would go off a 1.
And the last thing I want to say about this too is, this is the important of, for anybody that's a young player that's watching this or listening to this, this is why you need to get yourself your upper body strength in the right position, so you can absorb this contact. And watch how he absorbs the contact but doesn't fade away, doesn't get bumped off the spot and make it a bad shot, and then just hope that he's going to get bailed out by the referee. He's able to absorb the contact at the peak of this, maintain his composure, keep his chin to the rim, keep his eyes on the target, and then finish this with strength. Like, that's a very, very, people ask, like, why should I weightlift when it comes to basketball? It's not as important necessarily as football or something like that, but this is a situation right here where it shows its importance.
Yeah, and notice what that strength does is, it allows you to finish, like Matt just talked about. And obviously that's the most important thing, but it's also a mental thing, because notice that Westbrook doesn't look back at the ref like, hey man, where's my foul? Like, he expects contact. He knows what basketball is, and he plays the game accordingly. He didn't look for a foul. That's what he's supposed to get contact when attacking the rim.
Yeah, we'll run it one more time, Drew. Just beautiful basketball right there.
It really is.